Hello everyone, Thinkifer here. Zelda sure has a lot of Shinto Buddhist themes. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, and just about every Zelda game you can think of always seems to make a recurring reference someplace or another to these strange mystical spirits, yokai and kami gods, and they take so many different forms across the series, which is probably, as you thinkers might imagine, also an indication of how diverse the mythology of Shinto and Buddhism really is. So today, I plan to try and make sense of all these strange, ghosty spirit creatures in Zelda and how they might also turn up in Tears of the Kingdom and influence the game's characters and plot. So thinkers, grab a cup of thonk juice and let's get to thinking. When we talk about the spirit entities of Zelda, especially within Shinto, we can actually separate them into various categories and types when they are identified, but in Shinto, yokai is the word used to describe all supernatural beings. Shinto, also known as Shintoism, translates to way of the gods. The gods within Shinto being categorized as kami. Now, kami themselves are sacred spirits, ranked higher than the yokai. The yokai themselves are split into various categories, types, and groups. Starting with the most commonly well-known, the bakemono, which are shape-shifting animal spirit creatures and monsters. Yurei, which are ghosts and spirits that have passed in a manner that has caused the soul to wander the earth, troubled and unable to achieve a peaceful transcendence into the afterlife. Then there's the Sukumagami, which are objects that have finally gained sentience after 100 years of being in this world. The most common occurrence of objects within Shinto lore gaining sentience being swords. Other forms of spirits within Shinto lore categories are the mononoke. These spirits are often either vengeful or mischievous, but occasionally they bring good fortune to others. But it's notable that mononoke originate from China and entered Japan's lore of Shinto during the Heian period. The mononoke are extremely similar to the yurei and are not that different from each other. Across the Zelda series, we see various iterations of the spirits within Shinto lore, and if you have a trained eye, you too might even be able to spot a yokai animal spirit posing as a human. At least that's what the legends and folklore have said over the centuries. The shape-shifting animal spirits of the yokai are very popular and seen throughout the series. The kitsune spirit, a fox-like being, is seen in Majora's Mask and is known as the Kiton, and it's expressed. The Kiton are many in number and we only see one. In Shinto lore, the kitsune themselves are also many in number, and the name kitsune is also used for normal foxes as well. These supernatural creatures serve the kami god spirit known as Inari, a higher being or entity responsible for agricultural growth, economic growth, and fertility. The kitsune are typically benevolent, usually serving under Inari's goals and facilitating its will to promote growth, but the malevolent ones rebel and attempt to cause the opposite with trickery, which basically means there's a group of fox spirits trying to aid the living world in growing and progressing, and a group that are trying to halt and bring calamity and ruin. Another job the kitsune have is to guard the gateways to the spiritual world and the physical world. Interesting that we see a kitsune in Majora's Mask only, a game where Link travels through a portal, or gateway one might say, to another world. Majora's Mask also has a huge recurring theme of spirits being trapped in objects, aka masks, which brings us to other forms of yokai, like the Sukumagami. These yokai are sentient objects that gain their sentience after their 100th year of existing. Now, the masks are literally spirits of living beings shapeshifted into objects like the masks, and that might raise a question of whether these are really Sukumagami, but one certainty that is a very unsuspecting example is Fi from Skyward Sword. Fi is the Master Sword, and the Master Sword is her. Both are linked thematically, physically, and spiritually. The sword itself even takes on her appearance when it has reached its fullest potential. Interestingly, the Sukumagami also form when an object finally attains a kami or spirit. Fi, to me, feels a lot like a portion of a sacred spirit that was placed or forged into a sword. If it's anything to go off, canonically, she was created by Hyrule's fourth goddess, Hylia, as a weapon to fight demise, and Hylia does have a tremendous resemblance to the kami god Amaterasu, the sun goddess. I mean, think about it. It makes so much sense for Fi and the Master Sword together to be a Sukumagami. After all, swords are the most common expression or occurrence in the Shinto lore. Also, in hindsight, I suppose this does place the masks of Majora as Sukumagami as well. But moving on. In Breath of the Wild, the most modern Zelda title we've had to date, we see various yokai. The bloopies, owl rabbits that serve a higher deity. Satori, the eerie blue supernatural being with a stag for a body and two owl faces seen atop its mountain. Clearly, these two take from the animism of the animal spirits of the yokai and serve a purpose in facilitating the natural order of the physical and spiritual world of Breath of the Wild. Moving on, other Shinto references include the Koroks, forest-dwelling beings that only can be seen by the pure of heart like children and in rare cases adults like Link. It's fascinating to observe so much of Japan's religious expression of Shinto expressed across the franchise, but my speculations do need to be made for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and where we might see these amazing creatures of legend show up. I have a really strong feeling about the mystery figure on the wall. It bears a huge resemblance to Satori, the ethereal lord of the mountain who is an owl-faced stag. I mean, the yokai animal spirits are shapeshifters after all, and what do we really know about the lord of the mountain anyway? We know that the location we find King Satori in, Satori Mountain, is located in the same area of Hyrule Link is seen in the latest Tears of the Kingdom trailer. Incidentally, he's also riding a flying bird tablet object that is the same flying platform the mystery figure is seen carved on. Is this tablet also a Sukumagami? Also, the Master Sword is damaged, but we know that Fi called out to Zelda in Breath of the Wild, which means it still has sentience, so we certainly will see the Sukumagami portrayed, which really makes me curious because the Master Sword clearly is in a bad way and in need of repair. What relationship will the hero of the wild have with the Master Sword's consciousness Fi in this Zelda title? Will it be explored? I personally hope so. Either way, it's been a fun time exploring the yokai of Zelda, if not briefly, and yes, we will return to explore all the Shinto Buddhist lore in many more videos across this series. For now, drop a comment below and let me know what you all think. Thinkers, if you enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to support the channel's content monetarily, you can join as a member on Patreon or join on YouTube. Both will get your name in the credits and behind the scenes access. Now before I head out, be sure to share some of that love and support around at my partner's Instagram at ElfSpringArt. Additionally, Elfie is now open for commissions publicly, so if you want something created, again, head down to their Instagram page. Give them a follow. Love ya, Elfie! Thinkers, have a big-brained, thonky day, and be sure to think safe out there. Bye-bye!